If you've ever wondered how to be more effective in a team, we're going to talk about how you can and how you can get other people to kind of be more effective with you coming up. What's going on, guys? Tim Ruswick here from Game Dev Underground, and if there is a question that I get a ton, it's got to be one of the top 5 for sure. It is about how to make my team more productive or how to find teammates that are productive. And I think we're going to cover that at some point because finding the right teammates is really important. But I think in order to do that, one of the things that we have to begin with, is how to be a good teammate yourself, right? Like, if you want to find good teammates, you got to be a good teammate, because if you're in a room full of a bunch of good teammates and you're not, you're the one that you would kind of be asking my advice about, if that makes any sense. So I would say that there's a lot of pieces to being a good teammate, right? Like, and there are a lot of basics that I think you need to understand. I think you need to, assuming that you've got all the basics down, like, you respond in a timely manner to emails or phone calls. You don't disappear like I know a lot of us programmers or artists do. Sometimes we just like to disappear for a week at a time. Assuming you don't do any crazy stuff like that, I think that there is one principle that has guided me in my in all the teams that I've worked with, and this has been teams that I have hired. So when I hire on people to work with me to build things, this has been teams that I've been a part of in companies. So when I get hired in to work with an existing team to do something, whether it's marketing or development or whatever. And it's also been teams for like making a game together, right? Like whether it's a game jam or whatever. And this principle seems to apply across the board to all these different things. And that principle, I think, is a concept that can be boiled down into 4 words. Be less, do more. Sounds like one of those things where Confucius say, be less, do more, right? Like one of those weird woo-woo pieces of wisdom that you might get from a fortune cookie. But in reality, I want you to really think about what that means. So a lot of problems with teams, they stem from 2 primary symptoms. And the symptoms are people aren't listening, like they don't communicate properly, they don't listen, they aren't willing to make changes, they aren't willing to compromise. And the second one is that just shit doesn't get done. Nobody knows what they're doing, or they don't know how to move forward, or they don't know what to do, or whatever it is. So it has to do with, I think, ego and productivity. And that's what this concept really kind of covers. So a quick story. For a long time, I was like a startup team for hire, right? There was a point where I had built a marketing company. It had kind of turned into a marketing / development company, kind of like everything you need for a business digitally all in one house. And we were working for a client that we had done some marketing for, but we had never done development for. And this client didn't have any idea what she was asking. She wanted us to build a certain thing, but she didn't understand any of the specifics on how it all worked. She just had this idea, and she had a budget in mind. And at that point, I had a pretty big ego, right? Like my self-identity was this super successful business owner that drove a fancy car, that was a cool dude. And the fact that someone would want me to do this big massive project for this little amount of money insulted me. And I wasn't mean, but I wasn't the nicest person about it, because it was something that I made clear that, like, this is not going to work. Like, this doesn't work out. And we ended up losing that client, and that client ended up doing multi-million dollars of sales with their product that we would have had the contract for. And so how does this relate to something like game development or teams and all that? Well, I realized the same behavior was happening with a teammate of mine, to be honest. There was a guy that I used to make games with a lot. Well, we would work on games. I say make games, but really we would just kind of work on games and never finish. But we were BFFs. We were good friends for a long time. And we actually had a falling out because we were working on this game and we disagreed and on how things should go, and he was really adamant about his side and I was really adamant about my side, and we ended up not talking for years, honestly, after that. And I realized that these kind of things were related, right? Like I didn't play well with other people at that point. And I feel like a lot of us that have these specialty skills, we get a little bit of ego, right? And in team environments, one of the things that I noticed is, like, especially if we feel very strongly, we're emotionally charged about an idea or a concept, or, you know, this is like the thing that we've always wanted to create and we're creating it and we share it with other people and they don't have the same passion for it, we can get defensive, right? So I think the first part of the principle, be less, has to do with ego. Be less. Don't think of yourself as this amazing, epic person that's always right and that everyone should listen to, and you should dominate your thought process on everyone else, and you should be the one that dictates how things work. Just be less, right? Give them the benefit of the doubt. Listen to them when they talk, when they have ideas. Be open to changing things, even if you don't think they're right. Right? Be open to trying them. See how it works out. Listen, you know, like, don't listen, don't like hear them, but really listen to them. So don't just sit there and like let them talk at you. Really, like, stay quiet and kind of listen to what the teammates have to say. And even if you think, oh, well, this person isn't a programmer, so they don't know what they're talking about, or this person has no concept of what they're trying to do, like, don't just dismiss them, right? Listen to them. Be less. Don't think that you're above them and that you can dictate what to do and what's best and all that. Like, just be less. And I think the second part is the do more, right? And a lot of teams, especially ineffective teams, are comprised, they're not really teams, they're committees. You know, they're a bunch of people voting like, well, I don't think we should do this because I want to make this kind of game. I've seen a lot of teams that call themselves teams, and they're not real teams. Teams are entities that win and lose as a unit, right? If a single person in a team can win while the rest of the teammates lose, that's not really a team. That's a committee. And a lot of, I see this especially in bigger organizations like companies and stuff. If they're working on teams, a lot of the teams tend to all have their own best interests in mind. And so they only do the allotted amount of work that they have to do or whatever. Game developers are a little more passionate, right? Like, we like to collaborate and make things, but you'd be surprised on what just doing more for the team, like not talking more, doing more, will do to your productivity. What it will do to, obviously increase your productivity, but like, doing more will do to the perception you have in the group, to how people receive your ideas, to how people interact with you, how people listen to you. And I think not only is be less, do more a good principle for working with people in teams, but it's also a good principle for leadership and leading a team. Like I said, I used to think that being a leader meant that I dictated my vision on everybody else and I made them do what I wanted to do. And I would just delegate all the work out, right? Like, we all know somebody like that, and those are annoying as shit, and I can't believe I used to be that person, but I did. And this kind of concept of be less, do more really resonated with me because it's helped me be a more effective communicator. It's helped me be a better educator, you know, as I share my stuff with YouTube and the world. And I think it's helped me be a better teammate because it's helped me interact with people in a different way. It's helped me give them my thoughts without being overly, you know, pushy. and it's helped other teammates want to work with me because I'm so collaborative, because I'm so open, because I do a lot of work, but I don't force a lot of opinions. And I'm not saying it's bad to have opinions, right? Like sometimes you are right. Sometimes the idea that you want is the better idea. But you got to be open to trying different ideas. You got to be open to compromises. You got to be open to those different things. So be less, do more. I think is a really good principle to keep in mind when you're working in a team. I think you should try it out. Next game jam, next team up, whatever you do, try it out. If you have any suggestions for working with teammates, please leave them below. I'd love to read through them. I'm going to be doing a video on how to find good teammates, and I would love to hear what some of the qualities are for good teammates and some of the things that you've seen work really well in a team setting. So post those below. But once again, I'm Tim Ruswick, and I will see you guys next time.